The time to stop this is now. And we also have to be clear that those who are accountable, Ehud Barak, his orders over the past few months to withhold insulin, chemotherapy drugs, dialysis supplies, all forms of medicine from the people of Gaza were just as lethal and just as murderous as the orders to send in the bombers and warplanes to attack mosques, to attack universities. The Islamic University in Gaza is not a military site. It is a university with 18,000 students, 60% of them women. Last night, Israeli warplanes attacked a female dormitory in the Islamic University. This is what Israel is attacking. They attacked the fishing port. No food gets into Gaza. People can barely fish enough to sustain them, and Israel has attacked the fishing boats that sustains them. These are historic crimes, and we cannot be silent about them, and we have to continue this nonsense that there's fault on both sides. We have a captive, occupied population. 80% of the people in the Gaza Strip are refugees. 750,000 of them are children. Where else in the world can these crimes be committed while the world looks on, while our elected politicians in Congress, Democrats and Republicans, sit there applauding? When you see the shameful statement of Howard Berman, the Democrat chairman of the House Foreign Relations Committee, giving his full support to Israel, people have to stand up to this. We cannot sit on our hands anymore and say change is coming. Change is not coming unless we create it.
We have to break, then we're going to come back to this discussion. We are going to put off the playing of the speech of Harold Pinter, the Nobel Prize winner, tomorrow. He died last week. We'll play an extended excerpt of that speech tomorrow. We're talking about what's happening in Gaza right now, joined by guests from Ramallah, from Gaza City, from Rafah, from Tel Aviv, and from the United States. We'll be back in a minute. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We have on the line with us Dr. Mustafa Barghouti in Ramallah. We're joined by Dr. Musa Al-Haddad. He is a retired physician in Gaza City. We're joined by Fida Kishta. She is joining us from Rafah. And Ali Abu Nima is on the line with us from Jacksonville, Florida, in studio. Ali Abu Nima, I wanted to ask you about the statements at this point of Barack Obama, or the lack of them. Of course, he's on holiday right now in Hawaii, but David Axelrod was on the networks. Again, they are continuing to say that there is only one president at a time, and that president is President Bush now. Condoleezza Rice is briefing Barack Obama. But he did say that not only would it be counterproductive for the president-elect to weigh in too deeply, but he said that Obama's commitment to the, quote, special relationship between the United States and Israel in a way that suggested general sympathy for the Jewish state's actions. I'm reading from the Huffington Post. Your response.
Isn't it convenient that we only have one president at a time when it suits Barack Obama to stay silent on something that is inflaming the whole world? Apparently, we don't have one president at a time when it comes to the economy or Iraq or Afghanistan or other issues. But on this, Barack Obama is content to remain silent and, in fact, to give, through the statements of David Axelrod, his more or less open support for what Israel is doing, which fits with the policies that he has enunciated consistently of supporting Israel's attacks on Gaza, supporting the blockade of Gaza, supporting the Israeli war on Lebanon in 2006. And this is why Israel feels so comfortable carrying out these sorts of atrocities, which cross every red line of the Fourth Geneva Conventions, of the Nuremberg Principles, of all of the laws of war that were developed in the 20th century. Israel feels totally comfortable crossing them because it knows that it will have full support from any U.S. administration, no matter what political shade it is. And this is why it's crucially important that people don't sit by waiting till January 20th. January 20th, the calendar flipping is not going to change anything. What's going to change things is boycott, divestment, and sanctions, people rising up and demanding an end to impunity, demanding, for example, that Ehud Barak, Ehud Olmert, Tzipi Livni be brought to account before International War Crimes Court for the orders that they have given for these massacres of the civilian population of Gaza. That's what's going to bring change, and that's what people must call and organize for.
I'd like to bring in Dr. Mustafa Barghouti again. The issue of what is the potential for reaction in the West Bank and in the Arab street, as opposed to the complicity of many of the Arab governments at this point. Your sense of, if this continues much further, what will be the reaction?
Well, let me explain one very specific point. Israel is very proud with the complicity of some Arab regimes and some of the people in the Palestinian Authority about what's going on. But I want to remind you that what is happening in Gaza and in the West Bank is nothing but also a slaughter of democracy. We have, as Palestinians, we, the civil society in Palestine, we, the Palestinian Democratic Forces, jointly with many others, managed to have the best democratic experience ever in the Arab world. Everybody knows that, and President Carter reported it when we had the last elections. And I think this complicity from certain Arab sides are specifically because they don't want this democracy to happen. They don't want this democracy to survive. And if Israel is very proud to be in alliance with dictatorships, then that reveals how democratic Israel itself is. Israel has been claiming that it's the only democracy and so on, but why it is slaughtering Palestinian democracy? They did that in 1976 when we had elections for the first time for our municipalities, and within 1 year, because they didn't like the elected people, they either bombarded them or deported them or arrested them. And now, after 2006 elections, they are putting 45 members of our parliament in jail. One of the leaders, one of the members of parliament is not Hamas. His name is Ahmad Saadat. He's from the left, from the secular democratic left. He was just sentenced to 30 years in jail just because he is a Secretary General of a Palestinian organization. It's amazing how the world is silent about this slaughter of democracy. And if Israel is happy with being in alliance with some dictators, then it is the one that is losing. The main question here that I want to come back to some myths that Israel is spreading. They keep saying that they are attacking Hamas. This is not on Hamas. This is on the whole Palestinian population. They claim that they ended occupation in Gaza. This is not true. They never ended occupation in Gaza. They continued to occupy Gaza. Now they're changing the form of occupation again, and they are threatening to complete invasion again and destroying people's life. Third, they claimed that it was the Palestinians who broke the ceasefire. This is false. This is incorrect. Israel broke the ceasefire. And now the party that is refusing to have ceasefire is Barak, the Defense Minister of Israel. And he is the one who is refusing to allow ceasefire to happen again. At the same time, I must say that Israel is not only attacking the Gaza Strip. Practically, Israel and the West Bank have created a system that can only be described as an apartheid system, a much worse apartheid than the one that prevailed in South Africa at one point of time. Why do we have all these problems? For one very simple fact. The violence is a symptom of the disease. The disease has been there all the time for 41 years. And it is the Israeli military occupation of the Palestinian territories. And because the Israeli government does not want to stop this occupation, that's why we keep running